So I noticed there's not a lot of articles or videos that really tell you what to do if your emails or cold emails are going to spam. So I figured I'd just make a quick video and help you all out with that. So the first thing first is if you do see a large decrease in open rates within like the past week or so, that means your emails are going to spam. Open rates is how you measure deliverability, which means if you see a huge drop off in open rates, it probably means you are seeing a huge increase in your emails going to spam. So how to measure that is you can hop into a tool like LeadLoft. We use LeadLoft for sending cold emails, but whatever tool you have should have features hopefully somewhat similar to this. We'd filter for a custom date range. We want to check, so what is this last week? What are the open rates for this last week? And maybe the open rates are right now 30%, 40%, pretty low. And we check, hey, well, is that normal? Let's check it against another date range last month. So we'll check here, a few weeks prior, and maybe the open rates here are 70 or 80%, which is pretty good for a cold email campaign. So what that means is my open rate switched from 70 or 80%, and now we're 30 or 40. That means you likely are receiving a spike in spam. That means your emails are not going to spam, not being seen, and likely not being replied to. So what happens if you see that? How do you diagnose it? How do you fix it? Well, let's just cover that really quickly. First thing first, you want to hop into your cold email tool, whatever it might be, and maybe you want to say, hey, here's a campaign. It has really low open rates in general. It has 0% reply rate or like a 1% reply rate. Turn that off, and you can just click this blue switch here to turn it off within LeadLoft. If you have different tools, you might need to select contacts and pause them, whatever it might be. And for me, if you have an audience that's just really low performing, it's happened to us in the past, I just usually delete those leads if the reply rate's like 1%. If it's a really valuable audience for you, you might need to change your email copy or find a different approach. But just be aware that sometimes a really bad audience can just destroy your sender reputation because that audience is maybe more prone to reporting you to spam or something along those lines. So just something to be aware of. On top of that, I would look at all of your campaigns and just go ahead and pause them all. So if you see a huge spike in spam rates, meaning your open rates dropped off and went off a cliff, pause all of your outreach. If you have like a really important audience that's working really well, well, that's fine. Maybe it's VPs here. And I say, hey, I want to keep this running, but I would recommend keeping it on a really low volume. Let your domain recover. And I know it sucks. It's really hard. But the thing is, if your cold emails are going to spam, your domain's going to need a week, possibly two, to get out of the spam folder and kind of recover and get its sender reputation up again to be a little bit more trustworthy. So it's really hard to have that patience to actually turn off outreach for a week or two, especially when you have people on payroll. But it's just something you have to deal with when it comes to bad sender reputations. And things like this is a reason why it's sometimes good to have multiple domains for your sales team, but just something to keep in mind. So that's an example of what I would do immediately to diagnose. I'd find that that campaign that's really low performing, I'd probably just stop it entirely, maybe delete those leads that sounds like it's not working well, get rid of them, then pause all other outreach and decrease volume. If you do have one campaign that's really valuable, you can run outreach, but I recommend decreasing the volume a little bit to let your domain recover. So after you've paused all this and you have really low volume, you want to make sure your entire team's warming their emails. If they're not warming their emails, they should be doing that continuously, even while they're sending cold email campaigns. So you can use something like warmbox.ai. I think it's a great tool. There's tons of other ones. They're pretty cheap nowadays, but you can go use a warming tool, make sure your entire team's on it, and then give it a week, maybe two, to see how things work. And if you do have a campaign running in low volume, you can kind of check on it over the past few days to see, has your domain recovered or is it still kind of going to the spam folder and sending really low open rates. So that's the first thing. That's how to diagnose and how to fix and try to recover when you have lots of emails going to spam and your open rate goes off a cliff. Other than that, the more traditional recommendations, which is basically what we recommend in this article here, is things like, do you have SPF set up? Do you have DKIM set up? And you need to make sure those are set up. If you don't know what they are, talk to your web admin, get them set up. The other one is, are you sending too many emails? For whatever reason, people seem to think that, hey, our cold emails aren't working, let's send tons more. Well, if you're going to spam, sending 1,000 more emails is just going to make things worse and make it harder to recover. So generally when that happens, I recommend sending fewer emails, letting your domain recover, get really high open rates, really high reply rates, and it's going to make sales and outreach just far easier for you. Next one, are you warming your email? I mentioned this. Make sure you're always warming up your emails continuously, even while your campaigns are running. And then, is your domain brand new? Of course, your domain's authority gets better over time, and it's likely just to perform somewhat better. It will plateau, but just keep in mind, if it's a brand new domain, to Google, to Microsoft, it can be a little bit more suspicious. Are you contacting the right audience? This is why people stress, ICP in like the startup world so much. Finding that ideal customer profile makes just life easier, reply rates higher, close rates higher. So test different audiences. If you have really low reply rates, it could be the audience that you're going after, not necessarily the copy or your domain or other things. The other one, are you sending too many emails? I see tons of people say, hey, if you send 10 emails, you'll get higher reply rates. That is technically true, but you're also going to piss off the people you are sending emails to. And the chance they send you to spam is also far higher. And when they send you to spam, you are more likely to get all of your emails into the spam folder. So it's better to be polite, send 1, maybe 2 emails. If you have an audience that performs well with really high reply rates, it's fine to send 3, but I'd keep it 3 or less in general. And is your email compelling? I would say, are you sending emails that are actually useful, provide value, and interesting to reply to? If not, I would say be careful. Work on rewriting that email then. And if you're curious, I skipped a couple of the checkboxes here, but you can hop in here. It's a checklist of everything we recommend doing for making sure that your emails do not land in the spam folder. And of course, if you do receive that huge drop off in open rates, make sure you pause your outreach, let things recover, and then once things have, you can get back to running outreach. So hopefully it's helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment, connect with me, shoot me a message, whatever.